And we welcome you to another edition of This Is Wrestling. It is Lee Versage alongside the one and only Zach McGibbon. Zachary, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Lee. Very excited this past week. And as we continue on with the week, it's been a while since we had an episode. But during that time, Mr. Versage, the Trenton Golden Hawks were able to win the Buckland Cup Championship. They were able to win the series 4-2. And they are currently in the Centennial Cup, which is the Junior A tournament, very similar to the CHL Championship with the Memorial Cup. In terms of the style of tournaments, you have the host city as well taking part. They had just won their first game this afternoon in a 5-4 overtime victory. And so I'm feeling good right now, Mr. Versage.
Well, how could you not? I mean, part of the team, the mascot, Zachary McGibbon.
Oh, God.
Hornswoggle, alive and well.
Whoa. Well, let's not go on with Hornswoggle.
I'd like to take a little bit of credit, too, for inspiring the Trenton Golden Hawks.
Okay.
They listened. They understood where it was coming from. And they were right. Like, I was right to do that to them because they choked away 2 years in a row. And finally, Zach, they bucked up in the Buckland Cup.
Very nice.
Yeah, thank you. And now let's see if they can buckle up again out in Calgary.
That's right.
Don't get stampeded by the competition. Okay, lots to talk about here. We have Backlash coming up on the weekend. Can't wait.
I can feel the excitement.
But I do think we should talk about some of the cuts in the world of professional wrestling. I know you have a list of them, and it was a major topic a few days ago.
Yeah, definitely. A number of cuts coming. This is kind of the return of the post-Mania cuts that we used to see a couple years ago. Now that we're kind of in this new era of WWE, it looks like these cuts have returned. I have here a list of the names that have been released, and so I'll just list them off here. Braun Strowman, Shayna Baszler, Hayden Carter, Katana Chance, Dakota Kai, Gigi Dolan, Oro Mensah, Javier Bernal, Gallus, which includes Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang, as well as NXT superstars Cora Jade and Jakara Jackson. So those are some of the names that I have here that were cut. I assume there are also some, under-level NXT folks that were also cut but didn't make TV that were part of that. But those were kind of the bigger names that have made TV that are notable.
What was the most notable name for you in particular?
The one that kind of surprised me the most wasn't even really some of these main roster cuts. I was pretty surprised about Cora Jade getting a cut.
Yeah. So was I. The number one on my list.
Yeah, I was surprised about that. Not because I think she is a tremendous wrestler, because I think she is quite the opposite. I don't think she's very good at all. In fact, I would say she's one of the worst wrestlers on that roster when she was on there.
Wow.
Oh, she's not good, Lee. And
strong opinions, Zach. Strong opinions. You're bringing it. Okay.
I'm just saying, I think there's a reason why she was cut.
Yes, because all the 5-star matches that we're having with WWE right now. You're right.
Look, there's a certain standard that has to be reached.
You don't think Cora Jade, we're going to start this show off. You don't think Cora Jade lived up to the subpar standard in the ring that the WWE asked for?
I don't think she did. Otherwise, I don't think she would be cut. I think there is. I don't think there's a high bar, but there is a bar, if that makes any sense. It's not a very high bar. You still have to have some semblance of competency. And I don't think Cora Jade reached that. Certainly with her, she had a look, and she was certainly somebody that was presented as one of the faces of the women's division in NXT, especially when they rebranded it after the Black and Gold era. You had the NXT 2.0 era. But I think with Cora Jade, you could really tie it back to once she had that injury a while back, and she returned to TV, you just didn't really see the improvement that you were hoping for from her, especially in the ring. Obviously has a look, and there are a lot of people that there are a lot of people that are fans of hers, and she was certainly somebody that was pushed. But man, some of those matches, Lee, like I know we were kind of joking because WWE isn't exactly a 5-star match factory right now. I think there are some wrestlers that have that ability, but it's not exactly producing all these 5-star matches. I still think there is a level that has to be reached if you want to make it to the main roster. And I don't think Cora Jade was going to be able to get there with the path and trajectory that she's on. So I think in a weird way, this might be a good thing for her because she's still very young. She's still 24, I think, 23, 24. I think her going out there instead of being in that performance center environment and being able to go out there and work indies and work different styles, I think could be beneficial for her in terms of her development, because I think her in that environment with the performance center, I think her growth was going to be limited. So I think it could be good. She's already put out an email asking for bookings and then immediately got management to help her because I'm assuming the email that she put out was sent with, let's just say, not full of booking requests and full of other requests. But I think this will be good for her in terms of her development to go out on the independent scene and work different styles, especially for her development. Because again, she's still very young, so there's still time.
What about Dakota Kai?
Dakota Kai is interesting for me. I think in a lot of ways, now she's a much better wrestler than Cora Jade.
Yes.
Much better.
Oh, I just meant about the surprise.
Yeah,
aspect.
I mean, I wasn't as surprised as others were because she wasn't really getting pushed. I think the big thing with a lot of these folks is they weren't really getting these big pushes on TV. With Dakota Kai, it certainly felt like she was kind of being on the wayside with everything going on with Damage Control, and she wasn't really being featured on TV. I think with her, like, injuries also played a factor with her. She kind of reminds me a lot of her counterpart in Nixon Newell when she was wrestling for the WWE. Somebody that certainly has the ability, could certainly go out there and wrestle. Very likable character as well. I think she's going to get scooped up somewhere, whether it be in AEW or she decides to work indies, but she'll get bookings. I think the big thing with her is that she got hit with the injury bug pretty badly too.
Yeah,
She's
two knee injuries, right?
It's very tough to come back from that sort of stuff. You could still wrestle, but not at the high level that you would hope for when you've had double knee surgeries. It's not fun. So I think there's certainly some value in having Dakota Kai on your roster. But I wasn't as surprised as other people were about her cut because of the fact that she wasn't really being pushed on TV that strongly, and it seemed like she was on the shelf for last little bit.
I think some of the pushback I saw, when people get cut, everyone complains, right? And I always think, okay, are they cutting people to just cut them? And are they not replacing them? Because that's in the regular workforce, that is a lot of what happens, right? But that's not this business. And to me, I think a lot of people, and I feel bad for the people who lost their jobs. I really do. But I also look at, there are a lot of women cut. And, whether it's Dakota Kai or Cora Jade or Shayna Baszler, Katana Chance, you can go on about the women that were let go. And I was surprised that people were surprised, Zach, because look at the women that have come into the company.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, do you, to see Stephanie Vacour and Julia and Jordan Grace, and like they're stacked when it comes to they're replenishing their women's division. And I told you I thought the NXT women's roster was kind of in better shape than it's been in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to see Stephanie Vacour and Julia and Jordan Grace as much as I possibly can. 3 women that should be at the very top of the card in NXT and hopefully in the WWE and not in NXT. And then there's some other really good wrestlers on the roster. Yeah, you couldn't keep everybody. And I think I was surprised that people were surprised. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. I was I was a little surprised, but I think in terms of the reaction from fans, I was kind of surprised that of some of where the backlash, no pun intended, for this episode was being put to when it comes to some of the cuts. Like, I saw a lot of people going after Ari Emanuel and TKO for a lot of these cuts, and I'm just sitting there thinking, you think Ari Emanuel is sitting in his chair in his big fancy office at TKO, looking at the roster, being like, all right, we got to get rid of Caden Carter. Like, we can't have her on the roster. We can't have Katana Chance on the roster. You think he's really kind of looking back and saying to himself, man, we got to make these cuts. It's a corporate environment, right? It's, people at the top, at the very tippy top, your Ari Emanuels and your Mark Shapiros, all those guys are like, hey, we need to make some cuts to the roster, and we have to reach it at a certain level, a certain budget. They go to Nick Khan and Triple H and say, hey, make this work. We want to make sure that this roster at this level, make it work. And these are decisions made by, I would say, mostly Triple H, and then, maybe in some aspects Nick Khan, but, I was kind of surprised on that aspect of where the Backlash was going. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be one of those things where this is a newer audience for WWE, and I think they're kind of learning for the first time what we've known for a while when it comes to this company of how these cuts work.
When you think of Braun Strowman, what do you think of?
So this might be a take. I would take a look at Braun Strowman if I was AEW.
Well, first of all, it would be a take. It'd be your first on the program. So go ahead. Sorry again. Go ahead. You would take a look at him?
I would take a look at him. I wouldn't sign him, but I would absolutely take a look at him.
Well, what does that mean? Take a look at him. They have a base of work.
I mean, you could. I would say with Strowman,
doesn't he have he's got horrible knees.
Yes, but it's tough. Here's the thing, Lee. Guys that size are very hard to come by in pro wrestling.
Oh, thanks, Vince.
And I know, but like you gotta kick the can on it a little bit and see what you got.
Why? It's everything AEW isn't. I don't want to see that guy in AEW.
See, I wasn't as negative on Strowman as others were.
Braun Strowman against Will Ospreay. Oh, I can't wait.
That actually kind of enticed me a little bit, just to see how Will Ospreay could do with the Braun Strowman type. But
it intrigues you on an episode of Dynamite so that Will Ospreay can do what you think he can't, and then what? Where do you go?
Well, you could have him wrestle Kenny Omega if you'd like. You could have him wrestle Swerve Strickland.
Stop it.
I'm kidding, of course. But I mean, you still need to have some variety and depth in your roster. Now, the thing is, the argument I've heard, and I would definitely hear it, is, you already have a guy like Lance Archer, who's a better wrestler than Strowman. No disagreement on there. That could be your big guy. That could be credible. Like, I'm looking at it when I look at a Braun Strowman. I look at it as a guy that's a name that you could beat on TV, and it would mean something because it's a big dude that you beat on TV. It's similar to what you would do with Lance Archer. Is you have somebody that's credible, that has some name value.
Zach, they have screwed Lance Archer up so badly that does it mean anything to beat Lance Archer on television?
It's a good visual look on TV to have your guys going there.
It doesn't mean a thing.
I'd give him a look. I mean, I'm not as strong as I was, I'm not as strong as I was. Because I also shared this with other people and they were all looking at me like I had four eyes. And I understand. I get it in terms of the reputation. But look, again, guys like that don't come around often. Like guys that size, I would take a look, see what you got. And look, if he ends up, not being motivated and he's somebody that looks at WWE as an endpoint and doesn't want to work other promotions, then you don't bring him in. I get it. But, again, guys like that don't come around often. I would take a look.
Okay, his time in the WWE, what do you think of?
I think of him getting destroyed by Jacob Fatu. I think of the well, this was before he came back, but I think of the swamp match with Bray Wyatt. I think of the train whistle that they put on him when he runs around the ring. And trying to break, get it, destroy guys. I'm not saying he was pushed well, just for the record. There are definitely things that I look back on, I'm like, man, but I really didn't think he was as bad as people made him out to be. I think it was just, I could tell you that with him, he could certainly rub people the wrong way with his attitude. And that could be a big thing in terms of him going to other companies is if he's again not open to working with other companies and he sees WWE as the be all end all in pro wrestling. So I'm not saying the run was great or anything like that. I'm just saying, you got a guy like that. I'd at least take a look. I'm not saying sign him. Maybe you put him on TV. You have him have some sort of a showcase match where he loses, and you see how he's able to perform there. And if he looks good, then maybe you try a couple other appearances. If not, if he doesn't look good, then you move on from it. But I would take a flyer.
Okay. Anything else on the cuts before we get to the backlash of Backlash?
That's right. The one thing I do want to kind of look on, I think we touched on the major names, but Shayna Baszler I think would be a great fit for AEW. I'm a big fan of her in-ring style. I think she would be a great fit, and it would be something different from that women's division as well in terms of her style of match. I'm a big Shayna Baszler guy. I really like her work, and I've always found that she just hasn't been able to find a fitting with WWE, and so you could do something in the future where she could be at the other end against the Death Riders to be the woman that takes on what's her name now all of a sudden, Marina Shafir in the future. That's something that you could do, but she's also kind of a good change of pace wrestler as well, and brings a different dynamic to the roster. So I wouldn't be opposed to Shayna Baszler being on that AEW roster and add some more depth to that women's division. Dakota Kai obviously would be another one. Gigi Dolan, I was a little bit surprised about her release, but she's also been somebody that's kind of been on and off of TV. I don't have an issue. I don't think she'll have an issue with getting bookings or anything like that. I think she'll be just fine on the independent scene, and we'll be fine in terms of getting bookings. I don't know if I see her going to an AEW or anything like that. I could see TNA being in the future, although with TNA they're kind of relying more on the NXT roster nowadays as opposed to kind of going out and signing their own guys. So that's where I'm kind of looking at with this, with Gigi Dolan. But yeah, otherwise, a lot of these other names, I mean, there isn't really anybody that stands out. I see a lot of these guys, girls that were cut will either be done with wrestling after this, or they move on to something else, or they go back to the independent scene and maybe they make a shot on TNA or an MLW or something like that. But otherwise, really the names that I think that AEW would be seriously interested in would be Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai of these cuts.
Shayna Baszler just doesn't connect for me. She's never connected to me. It doesn't mean she's bad. I think she could do okay. For me, the answer is Dakota Kai, but it's only if she can get healthy. And I don't know what she could possibly get to. But she has the most talent and charisma to me of most of them, and I think she'd be a good fit in AEW. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to WWE Backlash coming up on Saturday. Zach, you're excited, aren't you?
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm on the moon right now. I can't wait for Backlash and all the great matches we have in store coming up this Saturday.
All the great matches. Let's get to all of them. And headlined by John Cena and Randy Orton. We'll get to that last, but some of the other matches here. Dominic Mysterio, your favorite, my Intercontinental Champion, Dom, going up against Penta. Can't see any shenanigans happening here.
Oh no, I'm sure it's gonna be a straight one-on-one match. These guys will really, put in a good professional wrestling display. There'll be no smoke and mirrors or anything like that. This will be ring general Dominic Mysterio out there and really, putting on his working boots in this match.
But do you expect Penta to win the Intercontinental Championship?
No,
the answer is no.
I want to, but it's no.
Zach, the answer is no.
Please, I want to.
It's a clear cut no.
It's no. You're right. It's no. It's no. That's my prediction. It's no. But God, would I love for the belt to go on Penta, and we can stop with this and stop telling ourselves how great Dominic Mysterio is because he has a mustache and a mullet. So
It's a pretty good mustache though, and a pretty good mullet.
Hey, good for him. I mean, it's a good mustache, and he knows.
Zach. This guy has got himself over. Can we agree on that?
Well, with the help of some crowd sweetening, sure, but yeah.
Yeah.
You know, got a button that's there. Be like, all right, we'll click on boo.mp3 now when Dominic Mysterio is out there, so we can tell our fans, our fans that we think are the dumbest people on the planet, that they should boo this guy now. And so I mean, when you do that, I mean, it's hard to not get over, right? If I stood out there in the ring and they pushed a boo button, like the fans be like, oh, I guess I gotta boo this guy. All right, I'll boo. It's fun booing this guy.
I'm not okay. First of all, I'm not talking about Joe Common Dud fan. Like you. I'm not talking about that, Zach. I'm talking about guys like me, girls like me, smart people.
Yeah.
Okay. Who understand the intricacies of what Dom is doing to get himself over.
This is the second time you said Dom, and it's making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know. Dominic Mysterio, I'm telling you, I'm gonna run through here real quick the personalities that you are eager to see. You have to rank them, okay? You have to. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 people wrestling on this card. That's it. So, of the 12, tell me just individually whether it's in the ring, charisma, the I want to see this person factor, okay? And I'll just list everybody: Dominic Mysterio, Penta, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, Jacob Fatu, Damian Priest, Pat McAfee, Gunther, Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch, Randy Orton, and John Cena. I would like your top 5 of the 12 of people, and I'm not asking for some sarcastic answer, Zach.
Okay.
I'm asking for true, I am looking forward to watching this person on the weekend. Your top 5 individual people.
Okay. It's tough for me not to be sarcastic when it comes to this, so
I understand. That's why I put the note in there.
Very good. Very good. Keeps me on track and trying to get something going here. So I would say in no particular order.
Okay.
But Drew McIntyre, Penta, Jacob Fatu, Gunther, and then probably, oh man, who would be my 5? I'm juggling between Becky Lynch, only for this is the first time I'm going to see her in a while. Let's see how she is. And maybe Pat McAfee.
Okay, so I'm going to give you mine.
Okay.
It's Jacob Fatu 1.
Yeah.
Gunther 2.
Yeah.
Dominic Mysterio 3.
Oh God, 3?
Yes.
Over McIntyre?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Over Penta?
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh no. What is it? What am I missing here about this Dominic Mysterio fella? Like, all I see when I see Dominic Mysterio is just WWE's version of David Flair. Like, I just see the modern David Flair.
No.
Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, it's the son of a wrestling legend, and all of a sudden he gets the hot ballet that goes around. The hot ballet also happened to be goth, by the way. And then now change it to a new valet, which is a hot blonde, which is what happened with David Flair going to, I think it was Tori Wilson. Like, tell me it's no different from the David Flair stuff. Try to tell me.
I will, because I'm intrigued by his matches. David Flair was embarrassing in the ring. And Dominic Mysterio's no Penta for sure. He's no Gunther. But would you put him up there with, I don't know, John Cena, Randy Orton, Becky Lynch, Damian Priest, Pat McAfee? Like, are you really LA Knight? Are you really excited to see LA Knight? No.
I was going to jokingly say yeah for the bit, but
yeah. I'm just telling you, there's something about him that's watchable.
That is not a high bar. That's not a high bar. But
no,
I find him very watchable.
Yeah, but okay. And in all seriousness, it speaks to the main event.
Yes.
We didn't even, you know who's not watchable? John Cena or Randy Orton.
Yeah.
I don't even think Becky Lynch is watchable at this point. Honestly, I don't think LA Knight is for me. Damian Priest isn't. I'm picking Dom to retain. Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. Fatal 4-way for the WWE United States Championship. I think they realized what else they had on the card. They're like, we got to get some more people on the card. I don't understand why they would do this with Jacob Fatu. I'd like to see him as a dominant champion, beating people clean in good matches. But I guess I understand trying to get other people on the card, but in no way, shape, or form is Jacob Fatu losing this match.
I agree. This is going to be a Jacob Fatu win here. I think this could be a fun little sprint with all these guys getting their spots in. It has to be a Jacob Fatu win here. It's got to get a pretty convincing pinfall. I mean, at this point, why not just stack all three on top of each other and go for the pin just to really put over Jacob Fatu, but they will not do that.
T-shirt, I stacked them.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. But yeah, I've also got Jacob Fatu winning. We'll see how many bumps LA Knight takes and just lets the other guys do the big time spots in the match.
Yeah.
I got Fatu retaining.
So what do you think happens here with Pat McAfee and Gunther?
It's funny. I don't know about you. I got some pushback from some folks of our intrigue of this matchup of McAfee and Gunther. Because I am actually kind of intrigued about this match.
I am too.
Yeah.
If those people want to tell me that they're more intrigued by Lyra Valkyria or LA Knight or John Cena and Randy Orton, you guys are out to lunch.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever. I'm just saying on a pretty bad pay-per-view card, it's something that intrigues me.
Yeah. It's again, it's not much. We're not saying the bar is high here.
No.
It's just that out of everything, this is at least somewhat intriguing the way that they've built this match. And some of the pushback we received is from our AEW superfan, one Ben Soublier.
Yeah, and, I know. He wants to say, Excalibur's gonna wrestle.
Yeah, you want to see Excalibur wrestle? Or you want to see Taz wrestle Hangman Page or whatever? Like, no, because those guys are not in their physical prime like Pat McAfee is. That's why this is interesting.
Way more of a sort of media icon than Excalibur is.
Exactly.
Like, come on. He's been one of the best celebrity wrestlers that there's been.
Yeah. Had that great match with Adam Cole many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, who's to say he can't, bust out the chops here and have a good match with Gunther? See what I did there?
Yeah.
But I'm kind of it's kind of a toss up for me on this one. There's a part of me that feels like it's going to be Gunther because it would just make logical sense for him to beat the commentator. But this commentator isn't just, Excalibur coming out of the desk here. This is a guy that's still in good physical shape, and we know that he can perform at a high level when he's got in there with the right opponent. I'm going to pick Gunther here only because I think the story that they're going to tell here is they're just going to continue to have Gunther beyond this mean streak, this dominant streak. He's just going to try and eviscerate Pat McAfee to kind of make a statement. And I think you'll have McAfee have his hope spots in there. They'll get the crowd fired up and popping. But I think this is going to be one of those Gunther getting his mean streak back after taking that loss to Jey Uso. So I'm going to pick Gunther to get the victory here.
Yeah, I am too. I think he's going to end up winning, but I think Pat McAfee's going to look like a freaking star. Do you think that somebody else is coming out here for the feud with Gunther to continue.
Like someone to support Pat McAfee, or just
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that prospect. Who would be on McAfee's side?
Let me throw one out for you here.
Sure.
Who is my least favorite wrestler of all time?
Oh, yes. Oh, are you talking about one Bill Goldberg?
Think I am.
Oh, yes. Oh, I so want to see that. I want to see Bill Goldberg get out there.
Well, don't you think somebody coming out to save Pat McAfee and getting in the face of Gunther and giving Gunther something else to do after this? Because like, what's he gonna do after this? Right? Like,
Yeah.
you always have to ask, where's it going?
Yeah. Maybe he'll fight Boston Connor after this. I don't know. On the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, no, I
maybe Ty Schmidt will go out there and try and get put on the wrestling boots.
I just think it sets up as a as a vehicle to get to somewhere else. And I don't know where that somewhere else is, so I'm trying to work it out.
Yep. Well, they did set up the program with Goldberg I think it was last year, where they had that promo segment and Goldberg was celebrating on top, and Goldberg's been going to the media as well and saying he's going to have a match. So, hey, it could be a setup for a Goldberg match here. I would look forward to it only because I want to hear your reaction when that eventually happens. So,
let's get to Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. Am I saying it right? I always say it.
You got it. I was going to say, I was going to try and correct you on the Valkyrie, but it is Valkyria, so you're correct.
Yeah. Okay. Do we think it could be someone else? Jeff Cobb.
It's in the Gunther stuff?
Yeah.
It could be Cobb. That could be interesting. That would be way more interesting, obviously, if it's Jeff Cobb going out there and facing off against Gunther.
Yeah, because that to me sets something up that people would want to see. No?
Yeah, absolutely. You mean to tell me people don't want to see Goldberg versus Gunther?
I don't, but but I also this is gonna sound funny, but it's the least path of resistance here.
Yep.
Like, if I have to see Goldberg, I just don't want to see him in with, like, I don't know, most other people that are stiff. I want to see him in there with someone really good.
You're right.
That's all. Okay. Becky Lynch, does she win the Intercontinental Women's Championship?
I feel like she does here, doesn't she? I feel like this is kind of setting up for a title win. They've kind of moved through this story a little pretty quickly with Becky Lynch coming out and tagging with Lyra, and then literally on Raw the next night, she's like, screw you, Lyra. I don't want these tag belts. I want your Intercontinental belt. And this is where we're at.
One meaningless title to another.
Yeah. It's a lateral movement for Becky Lynch. So, I mean, this could be one of those deals. Like, I think they want to try and make Lyra Valkyria somebody. This could be one of those things. The thing with Becky Lynch is that she's kind of been getting into this role now where she's facing off against some of the other women that kind of need that elevation. I think back to the Tiffany Stratton stuff in NXT, and trying to have a longer series feud with them. So this could be that could be what the plan here is to try and get Lyra Valkyria elevated here against a star like Becky Lynch. For however we feel about her in-ring ability at this stage of her career, there could be that thought process of if she has a strong performance, she has a strong showing, that this could elevate her. So that's where the intrigue is, at least for me in this match, but it's not that much. I still feel like Becky Lynch is going to get the victory here and get the Intercontinental Championship.
I do too, because I think it helps the storyline. But if they're going to do this like they did with Tiffany Stratton and have Lyra go over her, it's like, okay, at least there's a vision there.
Yep.
So I give them an out, but I think it's a little bit stronger if she ends up winning the belt, because I could see her. She loved the Becky 2 belts before, right? And she'll want that again. And can she get another belt? And who knows? I don't like it. I'm not intrigued by it. So they're going to have to do something to sell me. Speaking of things they're going to have to do to sell me, Zach, John Cena and Randy Orton in St. Louis for the WWE Undisputed Championship, even though there's another title.
That's right.
Okay. I'll try to be unbiased here. What do you think will happen? Like, what is it that you think we're going to see that maybe I haven't thought of here going into Saturday night?
I personally see this as, John Cena's going to retain, and I think this is just kind of going through, the greatest hits of John Cena, I guess, for lack of a better term, is, going back to opponents of Cena's past. In this case, it's Randy Orton for this one, for the title match, and then going out there and having their match. You could see Travis Scott come out there if they really wanted to, and try and continue that thing, whatever that thing is with Cena.
Don't you think we will see Travis Scott?
I feel like he has to be there in terms of trying to get this story over.
Probably leads us to Cody Rhodes.
Maybe. I don't know if I want to see that match again the way that I saw it at WrestleMania, but
but Cody's just not going to go away.
No.
I just think this is not a John Cena with his feet on the ropes pinning Randy Orton and celebrating beating Randy Orton in St. Louis. I just think you talk about smoke and mirrors. I think this match probably has to have it.
Oh, absolutely. This will be the very definition of a smoke and mirrors match. I'd be stunned if they told him, all right, guys, go out there for 25 minutes and, exchange holds back and forth, because we know that's not going to work out well for especially Cena at this stage of his career. So
that's your favorite part about Randy Orton matches.
Well, of course. I mean, I love the holds. I love the targeting of the limbs. I love the stomps to the arms and the legs, and just so precise and so targeted, and the precision in which Randy Orton is able to, really lay out a match. And it's just, I can't wait for all the people to just go gaga about how great of a worker Orton is in this match, while Cena lands on his tailbone for a bump because he can't do a full back bump at this stage of his career. I mean, how could I not be excited, Lee, for a John Cena Randy Orton match in the year of our Lord 2025, a match that I never liked, even when it happened in 2014 and 2009. I never liked this match. Now you're gonna have these guys that are near 50 having a one-on-one match, one with a bad back and the one that can barely take bumps, and we're gonna have a one-on-one match between the. Tell me to get excited here, Lee. Just to tell me, to get me fired up. How can I not be fired up about this?
Oh boy. You know what, Zach? You genuinely made me laugh.
I try,
That's fairly accurate. So I just think it's okay. Over under on how many RKOs there are after the match.
After the match is done.
Yeah.
Oh.
Doesn't it feel like at some point he's going to lay everyone out with an RKO after he didn't win the title?
Right. Yeah, it does feel like that, doesn't it?
In St. Louis, and John Cena and Travis Scott and whoever else is there.
Adam Pearce will run out. And
they're all laid out with
Michael
RKOs
Cole.
as Randy Orton has climbing the ropes after he's just lost somehow, some way.
Yeah. Because Orton has to have his heat back. You got to remember that.
Yeah.
So he's got to find a way to get his heat back. Did you see the comments, by the way, the Joe Hendry stuff?
Yeah.
About how he's like, I got to make sure I look good. And we couldn't do any of the members of the NXT roster because they would lose. It's almost like they want to try and get their guys over, Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, and people were pushing back on us like, this was great for Joe Hendry and blah, 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 blah. Orton literally said it. Like, what else do you want me to say at this point when it comes to that match? This guy Orton.
What if we see Joe Hendry again?
I mean, at least there would be a pop and some excitement in the entrance, and then the bell would ring when he gets into the ring, and then you realize, oh, it's Joe Hendry.
Do you know how much this pay-per-view is, American?
Oh, how much is it?
It's not crazy, but we've just gone through the entire card. So paying $44.99 American, which would be over what, $60 Canadian?
Yeah.
For this? Oh boy.
Can we put counter tariffs on this? Like, is that possible? That Canada could put counter tariffs on this?
Political jargon in this show.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I'm at this point with this pay-per-view card. I mean,
we're in the friend zone right now. Okay. Like to stay in the friend zone.
Yeah. I'm aware. It's just I gotta watch John Cena and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you have to, because it's your job on this show to watch.
If
it's
this goes
your
more
job.
If that match goes more than 15 minutes, I'm gonna send a strongly worded letter to Titan Towers.
It's the main event of a pay-per-view.
Oh God. I need to know who the road agent was. I need to know who booked the match. I mean, we know who booked the match. It's Triple H. But you know, I would like to know the thought process. Maybe it'll be explained to me on that Netflix show that's coming out about the writer's room. Again, that Triple H just hiding and cowering, does not want to be front and center, is front and center in the advertising for the writer's room documentary. You know, I just want to know. I want to know the people that are like, yeah, you know what I need in my life? John Cena versus Randy Orton. Yeah. I need to know who those people are that could get excited for this.
I don't know, and I can't remember. I'm sure there were in COVID times. You brought up Braun Strowman in the swamp match, and I'm sure there were other times. Yeah. But this pay-per-view has the lowest bar, like incredibly low after, to me, the height of where they were just a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
When Jey Uso won and Charlotte Flair won, and there's some real intrigue. They're going on Netflix. I was right there. I'm still intrigued, but like the new group, and Seth Rollins isn't going to be there, and Braun Breaker's not going to be there, and Paul Heyman, they're nowhere to be found. Roman Reigns isn't going to be there. CM Punk, like, it's basically, you guys got the night off after WrestleMania, the month off. So I don't know that I've seen a pay-per-view in a very long time that's got as low of a bar. I'm hoping that there's even one thing on here that I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. That's intriguing. That's interesting. Can we get that? I don't know.
Do you think John Cena versus Randy Orton is just going to be a finisher fest? Like John Cena's going to do 5 AAs and Randy Orton is going to do 5 RKOs?
No, I don't. I think we're not going to see an RKO. We might see one in the match with like no referee or something like that. I mean, that could happen, but I think he's going to lay everybody out at the end after it's over. And he's going to go home with his heat, and somehow by hook or by crook, and Travis Scott and who knows who else going to be down there to help. But not exactly my cup of tea. I'm literally going into this show thinking, what are they going to do to even give me one morsel of, wow, okay, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was good. I didn't expect that.
What would be longer, the Travis Scott entrance or the Randy Orton match? What will feel longer?
Oh, man. You can't ask all of these great questions at the end. It's like you're peaking right at the end, Zach.
Fired up.
Oh, why?
I think my rant will bring that I had a few minutes ago will bring be more energetic than John Cena versus Randy Orton.
It will. I know. This is the whole problem, and even if I think they're going in a better direction, this is an awful lineup. But we'll see how they get out of it, because they're not going to have. This is the intriguing thing to me, is that when they've put out some, I would say, less than spectacular cards, they've been in France and they've been in Scotland and they've been in Australia and they've been all of these places where the crowd is so hot that sometimes it doesn't matter. I don't know that St. Louis, Missouri is going to be that. So what are they going to do now? I guess on Saturday, we're all going to find out together, Zach, and that's going to do it for another edition of This Is Wrestling. Fine form at the end. Okay.
Well, you got to get ready for the main event. When we cover the main event, you got to bring it to the main event.
Unlike Cena and Orton, fine form in the end.
Oh, his power slam is so crisp.
Oh.
Can't wait for that.
I know.
So smooth.
The lack of height he actually gets on that power slam is.
Oh, but it's so buttery smooth when he does it, Lee. And the drapey DDT. Oh, he's so smooth when he does that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to be smooth with John Cena in the ring. But
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Oh, Zach, this has been fun. Always great to catch up. And we will be back with hopefully a positive review of Backlash, and we'll get back into some AEW stuff as. Yeah, I think there's been some good and bad there too, but they're coming up with a big card next week for a lot of. It's kind of like a mini pay-per-view for them coming up the following week. So we'll talk a lot about that. Always enjoy the conversation, Mr. McGibbon. Thanks very much.
Thank you for this, Lee. This was fun.
Don't forget, you can also listen to a lot of our Dark Side of the Ring episodes on This Is Wrestling, separate episodes talking about the individual stories of Dark Side of the Ring. So you can catch those as well. We hope that you do. For Zach McGibbon, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks again for listening to This Is Wrestling.